Welcome back. It's still Breakfast Extra. Here's our second hour. We have more conversation, and this one's going to be very interesting. In Nigeria, the debate over diaspora voting has resurfaced with urgency as the country looks ahead to the 2027 general elections. Millions of Nigerians living abroad, doctors, engineers, students, and also entrepreneurs, they continue to contribute billions of dollars annually in remittances, yet their voices remain absent at the ballot box. Critics argue that this exclusion not only denies them a stay in governance, but also weakens Nigeria's democratic fabric. The human impact is significant. Families separated by borders are bound by remittances, but not by representation, while younger Nigerians in the diaspora feel disconnected from shaping the country's political future. As frustrations grow within and outside the country, pressure is mounting on lawmakers to decide whether this long-standing silence will persist. Here at News Central, we had our very first, or rather second, News Central Town Hall in New York only just this past week. And we're going to be talking much about these concerns.
Of course. And this is not the first time the issue has been raised. For years, civil society organizations and diaspora groups have pushed for electoral reforms, pointing to countries like Ghana and South Africa that already allow their citizens abroad to vote. Yet, despite repeated debates in the National Assembly, progress has stalled over concerns about logistics, funding, and political will. With 2027 approaching, the question remains, will Nigeria finally open the door to diaspora participation? Let's welcome News Central correspondent.
Now, hang on a second. No, that's a small mistake here.
That's
I want to welcome two-time minister here in Nigeria, Mr. Frank Nweke Jr., Chairperson of the Fix Politics Initiative. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Apologies for that little snafu there. And also Jelili Adebiyi, Development Policy Scholar, to talk us through the instance. Yes. Gentlemen, you are welcome. Thank you very much. Queen, do you want me to begin?
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much. Let's start with Mr. Frank Nweke. You're welcome, sir. It's an honor speaking to you. Now, let's talk about the fact that Nigerians lack representation, especially after stepping outside of Nigeria. We have samples from other countries where they are able to still be a part of the electorate of their countries. They remit so much to their countries, but feel like, oh, we don't get a chance to decide who our leaders are. What's Nigeria's specific problem when it comes to this kind of representation during elections? Mr. Frank Nweke.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and greetings to Dr. Jelili right there. Pleasure to be on the program with you. Good morning. Yes, so thank you for having me, and regrettably, due to the technical difficulties of a few days ago, one could not make any contributions during the town hall meeting you hosted out of New York. But better late than never. Yes, if you asked me to, well, let me frame it this way. First of all, there's a general issue of voter apathy in Nigeria. Okay, because if you even look at it historically, voter turnout has been extremely low. And I'll give you a specific instance: the fact that in the 2023 elections, only about 22 million votes were cast for the presidential election, for instance, out of a total eligible voter number of about 93 million reported by an INEC in 2023. And so, and you look at it and you will recall that, of course, the current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was elected with votes of less than just about 9 million, just less than 9 million, right? And so this is even in country, okay? So now there's that issue, and we must always put it in focus. We have the responsibility to really encourage Nigerians to come out wherever they may be. Now, the issue of diaspora then comes into the mix, right? Now, if you do some search online, as Fixed Politics, we thrive on data. There's a common saying that we have, that in God we trust, everyone else must bring their data. Now, if you search about the numbers of Nigerians in diaspora, you're going to find data from the International Organization for Migration, suggesting as at 2024 that there are about between 17 to 20 million Nigerians in diaspora. And so data from International Office of Migration suggests that there are about between 17 to 20 million Nigerians in diaspora. And yet there's another data from another data, which is more dated than the one of 2024, based on a United Nations / PwC source, suggesting as at 2017 that there are about 1.6 million Nigerians in diaspora. So you have this data there, but even if it's just one person, one Nigerian that's in diaspora, I believe that every Nigerian, wherever they may be, should have a right to participate in the selection of the leadership of the country. Now, if we want to broaden this again, let's look at really the impact of Nigeria's diaspora on our economic development, whether it is economic development, development in the education sector, just general contribution to the to Nigeria's overall economic development. Again, data shows that in 2024, Nigerians in diaspora contributed about $21 billion to the overall economy. Now, this excludes the monies that are usually transferred home through friends and family who are traveling. So this is just the formal sources recorded through our central bank and everything. It is $21 billion. And there's more data. Now, this $21 billion was in excess of the total amount of foreign direct investment that came into the country in 2024. And I'll tell you something again, that Nigerians diaspora, right, are responsible for about 35% of all the remittances that actually come into sub-Saharan Africa. 35% of all the remittances that come into sub-Saharan Africa every year is contributed by Nigerians in diaspora. So you look at people who play such a significant role in the education sector, in the healthcare sector, in economic development, whether it's the real estate, whether it's in technology, whatever you might look at it. And then we are actually having a debate on whether or not they should be allowed to vote. And that is why, together with other civil society organizations, and indeed other well-meaning Nigerians, we've been, in the last two cycles of, constitutional amendment, we just said, listen, we've got to put this information out there in the public place and, cooperate with our partners and friends and see how we can push, for our legislature to actually amend the relevant sections of the Constitution to allow Nigerians exercise their democratic rights. Now, why is it, for instance, that we appear to pick and choose what elements of democratic practice or presidential democracy that we want to practice? The country from which we copied the presidential system, their citizens are usually very happy. They look into, they usually look forward to voting when the elections come. Even here in Africa, countries like Togo, Burkina Faso, South Africa, Ghana, all of these countries actually practice diaspora voting, right? And so you're asking yourself, really, what could be the constraint? The constraint, in my view, is the matter of political will.
Okay,
and
sir.
I'll just leave it there for now.
All right, sir.
Yes.
Right. So, Dr. Jelili, I was so engrossed with all the details and the insight that, Mr. Frank was giving us. So for me, I would also like to hear your view as to the situation with the people in diaspora, because of course he's mentioned a lot of people feel like it's more about the money, meaning the money, into the economy, but I feel like it's more than that. So Dr. Jelili, can you give us your own view of the situation of, voting with the people in diaspora?
So much for advancing this conversation. And thank you so much, Mr. Frank Nweke, for those brilliant submissions. For me, I was part of the team that started the agitation for diaspora to vote. And by then, there was a lot of expectation in terms of how democracy was going to assist us to advance the development of Nigeria for the greatest good of the majority of our people. And what happened was that the expectations fell short, and increasingly that induced frustrations among Nigerians in the diaspora especially. Because what that means is that responsibility became transferred to us the more. Because the more the government fails, from one administration to the other, political circle to the other, and cutting across all levels, layers of governance. The more we have to spend money to keep families alive, the more we have to spend money to keep friends alive, and the more we have to invest in money to ensure that those that are without jobs, those that are self-employed, and people that need money, we need to keep them off straight. Otherwise, there was going to be anarchy. There's going to be pandemonium. So, and that is what the majority of the money that is coming to Nigeria is doing. And folks in the diaspora, they are not happy with this. Because when you spend money for these purposes, of course, serving the needs of a friend, serving the needs of a family is a thing of joy. But it's because the government is not doing the needful. Huge amount of money so spent could be spent to advance the development of the country by spending it in the other productive sector of the economy. And that was why there was increased agitation in the diaspora that maybe our vote can change the trends of things. And when you get to this, maybe our vote can change the trends of things. There are a lot of assumptions embedded in this. One, the assumption that the folks in the diaspora, they are clear-headed, more than those at home, that is the metaphysics of difference, which I may not subscribe to, that we are better to make a informed decision, but that is not true. Folks in the diaspora, they are as partitions as folks at home. We know this in our various listservs. We know the kinds of toxic engagement taking place. Not only that, folks in the diaspora from Nigeria, especially the first generation, they are as divided, even more religiously divided than folks at home. There's another thing on the table. And in fact, when it comes to acceptance, the acceptance for the majority is along ethnic lines. I'll tell you, if APC, for example, presents a presidential candidate from the northern part, those in the diaspora that are in the northern part, for the most part, that are northerners, are likely to fly with this individual. If the PDP presents a Yoruba candidate who is likely going to win the election, the same pattern is likely going to happen.
Okay.
So when you disentangle the assumption behind the claim that folks in the diaspora are clear-headed and are likely to do things differently, that assumption is not necessarily true. And the other thing we also need to pay attention to is the number. Because the whole idea, when you stretch it further, is that, we have our numbers in the millions. There is not one single source. I've spoken with these sources.
Okay.
Because one of the courses I teach in the university is human geography. And one of the courses under human geography that I teach is migration, especially international migration.
Dr.
And I
Jelili,
spoke with these sources that the migration data in Nigeria, where did they get it from? They said it was based on estimates, predictions. And I asked question, okay, I don't have problem with estimate and prediction. What were the assumptions that fed into these predictions? The assumptions were questionable. They will say, okay, first generation is about 2.1 million, second, third, fourth generation. And the question I ask is have they conducted a survey teasing out that the fourth, second, third generation self-identified as Nigerians?
Dr. Jelili.
The answer is no.
And
what Dr. Jelili is that...
Dr. Jelili, now I appreciate the details that you're giving us regarding these findings or these surveys that are being made. And it's very, very important that these actually be made. However, I have a question for both of you, but I'll start with Mr. Frank Nweke here. Mr. Frank Nweke, you spoke about the fact that, there seems to be, we do need the participation of diaspora Nigerians. But the question now is, how ready is Nigeria for this? How ready is Nigeria to be able to copy the likes of Togo, Ghana, Estonia, for instance? They have a very, very stable platform where it's been repeated over time and they have been able to make sure that this is great. This is fail-proof. But is Nigeria prepared when it comes to tech? How much has the diasporan community also helped Nigeria when it comes to providing the mechanism we need to make this come to fruition?
Thank you so much, my brother. First of all, if Nigeria wants to be ready, Nigeria will be ready, right? It is not the responsibility of diaspora to tell the Nigerian government how to do it. It's the responsibility of the Nigerian government. It's the responsibility of citizens, all of us, to actually provide the suggestions, the technical information required to be able to do this. For instance, at the recent National Public Hearing on Constitutional Amendment, after we had the brief opportunity to propose these amendments, we submitted along it a very detailed technical paper showing that from the issue of voter registration in diaspora to the issue of how votes could be cast and so many other factors on how other countries have done it. This is just a suggestion, right? So it is the responsibility of government to take the necessary steps when citizens like us have spoken, when organizations like us have spoken, when experts like Dr. Jelili have spoken, to say, okay, really, how do we navigate this? And let me tell you how simple this can be. I'll tell you how simple it can be. If we have a financial services system, right, that is functional, that is secure, we have a national ID card system that is functional, that is secure, and we have several sources of data. We have the BVN system. We have all sorts of systems we put in place, right? What is the essence of all these national initiatives? What is the purpose, right? Okay, a new tax policy has just been put in place, which is meant to expand the tax net. So whatever tech features and whatever tech that's been in place for all of these systems, the same kind of technology that protects our financial service system can be deployed to actually protect our voting system, our electoral system. And that's why I'm telling you that it's which we will.
Okay.
If we want to be ready, we'll be.
Okay, sir.
This is just my simple response.
Okay, sir. Let me hear from Dr. Now let me hear from Dr. Jelili.
I hope that one can intervene in, and which is just very quickly. Dr. Jelili, you speak about data. Yes, data is very important, and I'm glad that you have the expertise you've just described. That's fantastic. But I'm sure it will be very impressive, for instance, if on the basis of some of these inconsistencies in data sources that is available, you were to undertake research or instigate some kind of research, and even a group like Fixed Politics will be happy to partner with you, because we'll be interested to be able to show with some factuality that this is the number of Nigerians out there. So the data is even from us and not from external parties. It will be helpful, not just for the discussion we're having, but for other purposes, and for the benefit of our nation.
All right, sir. Well. So, Dr. Jelili, now, when it comes to data, how prepared is Nigeria, and how much contribution has the diasporan community helped or aided?
Yeah, I really want to commend the challenge and the opportunity, the challenge thrown by Mr. Frank. And I also appreciate the fact that you underscored the need for us to take the generation of our own data seriously, and the opportunity for collaboration as well. I'll follow through this with you. When it comes to the data issue, we've made a lot of effort at different levels. NIDO, Nigerian Diaspora Organization, they started some things way back, more than 10 years ago. And everything fell through. The Nigerian embassies, high commissions abroad, they've tried their best as well. Nigerians have not been cooperating because there is a trust factor, and there are other factors. The nature of migration, how many of us are legally staying in our places of residence. So, and the NIM of a thing could have served as a way to actually solve that data crisis. But one of the things with the NIM of 18 is that it got caught up by the Nigerian factor, as they call it. I don't like to use the word Nigerian factor because it portrays us in a negative light. There is corruption in the US, there is corruption in Europe, there is corruption all over the place. It's just the magnitude and the extent that differs. However, the thing with the NIN is that it's been abused. The other time I went to places in Chicago and other places, and I saw the guys who were given the license, to be doing this NIM of a thing. I couldn't believe what I saw. And that is why when majority of them go back to the Nigerian embassy, they usually have some problem. It's either they could not verify or validate, the NIM numbers that it came with, because the process is not neat. So when you have such a critical process, through which you can generate supposedly a reliable database of the Nigerians in the diaspora, not being done properly, then you've lost a golden opportunity. So for me to generate that data, the NIN is a credible pathway to do that job. And the process of renewal of people's passport, if they take out the corruption in it, what that means is that it's just a function of time before we are able to capture the number of the majority of Nigerians coming into the system. Now, the pattern of migration from Nigeria abroad has changed. For some time, it's been the student route. And if you come in as a student, chances are that you may not have business with the Nigerian embassy for a significant number of time. Folks from other countries, when they come into a new country, their first point of call are their embassies. They get to register virtually and ensure that their data is with their embassy, their government representative, so that when there is a problem, they know who to call, where to call, and where to call knows that they are in the database. Our people, we don't do this, we don't care, because many people left with frustration. And when they came back to when they arrived at destination abroad, they felt a sense of detachment from the country, which is not a good thing. So the behavioral aspect of it is a big part. Let's now come back to the issue of readiness.
Dr. Jelili.
You see the readiness?
Dr. Jelili, Dr. Jelili, we apologize, but we have run out of time. We only have time for just one more question for Mr. Frank Nweke. Our apologies.
Yes.
You may.
I was trying to gather my thought. Mr. Frank, can you just keep it a bit short? But my question now is, based on what Dr. Jelili mentioned, the issue now is, let's talk about, the ongoing conversations with Vice President Shettima, where he talked about, us having a permanent seat on the Security Council. So a lot of people are saying we have insecurity in Nigeria. That's one side. And of course, he also mentioned about, illegal migration. How many Nigerians are willing to say, oh, we're here, knowing fully well that, them moving out of the country is not legal. And of course, they're talking about, the reasons why our diaspora voting is, having issues is because of logistics and all that. So my question to you, Mr. Frank, is, do Nigerians really want change? If the government is saying, we want a table for security and we don't have, security covered here in Nigeria, and of course, Nigerians want to vote, but a lot of them are not legal. What's your take on that? Do Nigerians really want change?
Well, thank you so much. I sincerely wish you had allowed my brother to conclude that very important point he was making. He raised some very, very valid points.
Right.
But my immediate response to all of this is that, you see, these are challenges. We recognize it. People need to report to the embassies. The embassy needs to know you're there. So when there's an issue, these are orientation issues. These are things that, with some orientation, with some with some encouragement, we can navigate all of this. But I think that you ask yourself, okay, how many Nigerians are illegal immigrants, wherever they may be? I don't believe that majority of them are illegal immigrants. And even if they were illegal immigrants, we still have a responsibility as government to know where our citizens are. There's nothing that says that if any Nigerian is an illegal immigrant, therefore he loses his citizenship or he loses the right of protection by its government, right? And you see the kind of troubles other governments take. It doesn't matter. If you touch an American, you know what's going to happen. If you touch a German, you know what's going to happen. Illegal or no illegal. You touch a Chinese, you know there will be consequences. Illegal or no illegal. So for me, I recognize the points that Dr. Jelili raises, but it is a responsibility of our government to take care of all of this. And on the matter of security, being at the table at the Security Council, it's something that we've for a very long time. I remember when I worked with President Obasanjo, we had a very, 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 very tedious diplomatic shuttle around the world when we were actually, lobbying other nations to support Nigeria's invitation to a permanent seat on the Security Council. So it's not something that you earn just because your name is your country is called Nigeria. These are privileges that you earn because you're projecting power, starting domestically, then externally, right? The quality of life of citizens, the size of your economy, your growth rate, and everything, the security, your domestic security, and all of that. These are important factors. But one thing must never be forgotten. Nigeria is the largest black nation in the world. It's a very important nation in the global affairs. And yes, we have challenges, but we can the place of Nigeria in global development cannot be diminished. And we must take responsibility, of course, as government to really fix our country, fix our economy, and project power. When you project power, other people take you seriously. When you are mediocre in your governance, when your economic development indices are poor, when the quality of life of your citizens is low, nobody takes you seriously, right? There was a time when Nigeria was first port of call when there's issues in West Africa, when there's issues in Southern Africa, when there's issues even in Eastern Africa. Nigeria was the first port of call. Unfortunately, that's no longer the case. So we must find our way back. And in a way, I think, that's evolving. Yeah, thank you so much. These are just my thoughts. I wish we were not in a hurry. These are very important conversations.
We really apologize for the hurry because we have other conversations and guests who are online already waiting for us. But Mr. Frank Nweke, thank you very much for your very expert opinion. And Dr. Jelili, we apologize for rushing you off, like Mr. Nweke noted, but we do have to go because we have reached the end of this conversation like 5 minutes ago, but we're enjoying your submissions.
Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
On the data from Dr. Jelili, we will be having another conversation because we really need to expound on these data that you have so that we know the true picture of where Nigeria lies in the diaspora when it comes to voting. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.